Welcome to Sports Talk in the Burgh. My name is Alexis Davis, and I'll be your host. I'm joined by Austin Bechtold, Nate Breisinger, and Jonathan Hanna. We'll be talking all things Pittsburgh and RMU sports. The Penguins have made a lot of moves recently. Most notably, Matt Murray was traded earlier this morning to the Ottawa Senators. And a few days ago, Tristan Jarry was signed for 3 more years. Jack Johnson was put on waivers. What do you make of these moves, and are there any you disagree with? Nate, if you'd like to go first.
You know, this trade makes sense for the Penguins, but personally, in terms of between Murray and Jarry, I like Murray.
See, and I think Jarry's the better option. He's younger. He had better numbers last year.
He's 1 year younger. It doesn't matter.
But still younger. And Murray has had injury concerns.
Murray has 2 cups, though.
So that's a team stat. Cups are a team stat. Sure.
Yeah, but he led
Cups are a team stat.
He led the team to 2 cups.
If you think one player can lead you to a Stanley Cup, you are wrong.
Goalies are like quarterbacks in terms of the NFL, okay? Goalies can single-handedly carry you to a championship, and obviously when you have Crosby and Malkin, you're not single-handedly carried by a goalie. But Matt Murray single-handedly was a main part of the reason why the Penguins were even close to being able to compete for a Stanley Cup. You have to remember, John.
And he also single-handedly ruined the...
Hold on, you gotta remember.
He had an .899 save percentage last year.
You know, John, you're from Buffalo, so you don't watch the Penguins as much as we do. But you gotta notice that before Matt Murray stepped in for Fleury going into the playoffs, the Penguins were abysmal, and there were so many disappointing
Sure,
postseasons.
he won you 2 Stanley Cups. But if you look at the stats now, he's not good. He had an .899 save percentage.
Okay, one down year for Murray.
Jarry and Murray.
.899 save percentage for Murray, a .921 for Jarry. Five games less played for Jarry. Sure, Murray has had injury concerns. That you're saying, so he's not going to be your number one all the time. He's injured. 243 goals against for Jarry, and then 287 for Murray.
No one's denying the injuries.
John, you also got to realize 1 down year for Murray doesn't mean anything. He's a bigger goaltender than Jarry. He's a better post-to-post moving goaltender, and he was the one they went to in the playoffs. Jarry has 1 good year, doesn't mean anything, I think.
Lead out to them? You lost to Montreal.
Okay, their defense was also pretty bad in front of them. You got to realize their defense wasn't very good this year, and that's why Murray had a little bit of a down year. But he's still in the heart of his prime, and I think it was a bad move to get rid of Murray.
You also got to factor in the fact that Carey Price is just a better goaltender than Matt Murray, and that team really came to play, and the Penguins, in all honesty, just didn't.
All right, moving on to the Steelers. The team will be able to have fans in Heinz Field for the first time this season. How much do you think this will impact the game, and what are your predictions for Sunday night's game?
Well, I think that just starting off, fans, in my opinion, even though it's going to be only 5,500, it's going to have an impact because they're going to be in the lower bowl.
I don't think the fans are going to have that much of an
impact.
impact.
I disagree as well.
No, on the Eagles. You know why? The Eagles are used to getting booed at home anyway. I don't think getting booed at Heinz Field will make much of a difference for the Eagles.
But it's a very good point, John.
I don't think whatever 5,500 or 7,000, whatever the number is, that amount of fans is really going to do much because how much are you really going to hear them? And also, there's a question: are they still going to be pumping crowd noise into this game?
In terms of Mike Tomlin spoke to the media and basically said that we will appreciate our fans being there. It will definitely be different. Having a real crowd and real crowd noise is obvious because even when you have that fake pumped-in crowd noise, seeing the fans, seeing the reactions and the emotion of the fans.
Yeah, the specks of dust throughout the stands.
You don't see the virtual towels when
you're not going to be able to really see them, those specks of dust throughout the stands. I don't think it's going to be a big impact.
I still think you'll be able to see those towels waving.
I don't think it's going to be impacting the game either because I think the Steelers are still going to walk away with the win here versus the Eagles.
I agree. Yeah, but any amount of fans that you're going to be able to put in a packed Heinz Field, it's not going to be, it's not that much, obviously, but it's still something.
What did Trump say at the debate? Nothing good comes from Philly? Eagles are about the same. Nothing good comes from Philly.
That's one way to look at it, John. It's an interesting take, but okay, well, all right.
Okay, so the Steelers' bye week was moved from Week 7 to Week 4 due to the Tennessee Titans' COVID cases. Do you think that the Steelers were robbed by the NFL's retooling of their schedule? Austin, if you'd like to start.
Yeah, I don't really think that the Steelers had much of an option or much of a choice. Tennessee having now currently 22 players and staff combined with COVID-19. I don't think that they could have went down to Tennessee and played the game.
No, it would have been reckless if they did.
It wasn't possible with more tests coming in at closer and closer to game day. So it's just something that the NFL warned teams that this is a potential, this is a possibility that you're going to have to deal with maybe having the situation like the Steelers are faced with a week 4 bye, going to have to play 13 games in a row going down the stretch of the whole rest of the season.
Good teams can roll with the punches. I know it wasn't exactly the best cards to deal with, but good teams roll with punches.
Well, one thing I look for, John, in terms of a championship teams have to go through adversity to be able to get to a point in time.
This is the biggest adversity.
I
think 13 straight games will be difficult.
I think this early bye could hurt them because, I mean, you look at Ben. Injured, he's very injury prone over his career. He has these little injuries that nag him.
Well,
Connor,
you got to factor in, Nate, that he only played 2 games last season, and he said he's feeling the best that he's ever felt. He's refreshed this season.
Yeah, but he's old, and so is Connor, being injury prone. A lot of these guys, these 13 straight games could really
There's been
be
a
hard on
lot
them.
more injuries overall.
There have, but thankfully, to the point on the Steelers' point of view, they have not been hampered by this injury bug. Now,
knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on some wood.
Don't say that too soon.
Obviously, right now, well, other than Zach Banner and Steven Wisniewski, but Wisniewski should be coming back later on. The Steelers are combined 1-11 against the teams they played this year, but they're 3-0, and you can't really control who you play. So.
Okay, so the Steelers are currently undefeated. Do you guys buy into the hype after their 3-0 start? Jonathan, if you'd like to start.
Well, Austin started. He said that Steelers teams they played are only 1-11, but you can't control who you play.
Right.
And it's 3-0. But their only real convincing win of the season is against the Giants week 1. 1 possession games against Houston and Denver. You look at the stats, they had the 10th worst yards per play at 5.6. So the offense, it's taking a bit to get going.
Well, and I think when your quarterback misses a whole season and needs to adjust to some
because you're used to Duck Hodges throwing to you.
Right, and whenever Roethlisberger is adjusting to really having Deontay Johnson, their first real reps, and Chase Claypool's in there, and you're getting a little Benny Snell, and the offensive line is a little bit different on the right side with the new right tackle, and also a new left guard, Filer, moving over. I definitely think that,
I think the extra week of practice will help them moving into next week.
Yeah, I do too, and I think that, every year the Steelers always have that play down to competition game, and when Drew Lock was hurt and Jeff Driscoll had to go in and replace him, I think that was potentially the substitute for going in and facing a bad team and starting out flat.
We don't know if that'll be the Steeler game of the, if that doesn't sound correct, but the worst case of playing down to their competition, because you say they have had that before. They have had that curse. I don't want to call it a curse, but that's, I guess, the best word I can come up for it right now, of just playing down to the competition.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't care who they played so far. I think, what we've seen on the field so far is a glimpse of what's going to come this season. I think they could be really good. I think Ben coming back into this offense with his receiver weapons, including Chase Claypool, I think this team could be dangerous and look for a double-digit win season. Yeah,
a little bit more chemistry in the offensive side, and the defense is already great in terms of the chemistry that they have. Only starter that didn't come back was Javon Hargrave. They're special.
All right, moving on to RMU Sports. RMU Athletic Director Chris King was on 93.7 The Fan yesterday and said that RMU football's first game could be February 27th. What should we expect from the rest of the schedule, and what is the likelihood that these games happen? Nate?
I think there's a great likelihood that these games could happen because it's a long time away from now, and I think, they'll figure out what they need to do in terms of the Horizon League and FCS in general. I think they'll get some of these games in. I think this game,
they're playing in the Big South for football.
Sorry, Big South. But I think if they take on James Madison, that could be a huge opening game for them going into their new conference.
I mean, you look at last time they played James Madison, Bernard Clark's first year, they lost 73-7, which not very good, but obviously they are a better team now.
Yep.
And then you look as well in the Big South. Campbell's already played 4 games. North Alabama's played a game. So you see some of the teams have taken those 4 games that they were given at the start of this whole coronavirus pandemic.
Right, and I listened to King's interview with Paul Zeiss on The Fan, and he basically said that there's a really strong chance that football is played coming up in the winter, or I guess we would consider starting in February.
And then also, you talking about the schedule? They were before everything happened, they were supposed to play the NEC teams. So it'll be interesting to see if there's some of the out of conference, or if they're still playing those teams. It'll be interesting to see.
It'll be a huge adjustment.
There's more sports talk in the Burgh after the break. We'll be talking NFL's best and worst teams, NBA Finals, and MLB predictions. Stay with us.
Roll over. Chance high five. All right. When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. And your mother and lover. I am totally a hot person. Right, guys? Thanks for being honest. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? My. Oh.
Stem is precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to learn the difference between sedimentary and metamorphic rock. Go find those rocks. Dare to keep daring. Dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
Welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. It has already been an interesting season for the NFL. What teams do you think are serious contenders, and what teams do you think are pretenders and will choke? Austin, if you'd like to go first.
Well, I think in terms of contenders, one team that has kind of been down, at least in 2019, I got to go with the Los Angeles Rams. I really like what I'm seeing right now from the rushing attack. They're 7th in yards per game with 142. Malcolm Brown and Darrell Henderson's putting a little good combination in the backfield. I have always been one that has preferred Jared Goff over Carson Wentz, which is kind of controversial. But I'm a Goff guy. Their defense is better with Ramsey, and Sean McVay's back.
See, Aaron Donald, one of the best defensive players in the league, but
Right.
I'm going with the Saints. I think they've had injury troubles, as we've talked about a bit earlier. Michael Thomas supposed to be back in the next couple of weeks. He's going to be a big weapon. Drew Brees still putting up relatively Drew Brees'
Right.
numbers: 71.3% completion percentage, 1,006 yards, 8 touchdowns to 2 picks. He's still putting up Drew Brees' numbers without his number one receiver. And I think once he comes back, once Michael Thomas comes back, you're going to see that team move up to the top of the NFC South.
Yeah, I think over both your teams, you got to look at the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, they're 3-1 to start the season so far. Phillip Rivers has fit into this offense pretty nicely. Yes, they've had some injuries, but they do have one of the best offensive lines. They have some solid defensive players on the line and a great secondary with Xavier Rhodes, two interceptions so far this season.
Well,
they've been a ball-hawking defense with
Because of that
turnovers.
defense and partly the offense that I do not trust, my pretender is the Indianapolis Colts. I don't really think that Phillip Rivers transitioning from the Chargers, the former San Diego, now LA Chargers.
And Phillip Rivers never been a good playoff performer.
No, he's never been great down the stretch.
You
And
can
I
always say
think
the Chargers are not the best team, but they've never been there.
Marlon Mack is out. Paris Campbell is out. You really haven't seen T.Y. Hilton. He's just kind of out there. Zach Pascal's been great. But one thing I look at with the Colts, rather, I don't really like that. I don't like the offensive structure. I love their coach and I love their play calling, but I don't know if Phillip Rivers is going to be able to execute plays down the stretch in the season. I don't buy it.
And then I'm staying in the AFC South. I'm going with Tennessee, mostly because of COVID. We have no clue what the NFL is going to drop the hammer on. We have no clue if they're going to be forfeiting games, postponing games even further. Who knows?
Yeah, my pretender, the Cardinals. You know, they bring in DeAndre Hopkins, but I'm still not sold exactly on Kyler Murray being, you know, this breakout quarterback. I think there's some issues on defense. I think that division's way too tough out in the NFC West for them to be, you know, a legitimate contender.
You know, I have to say my contender would be the Chiefs. I think they have Travis Kelce, they have Patrick Mahomes. They're coming off a Super Bowl win, so I would say that would be mine. But we'll see what happens. Now on to the NBA. The Los Angeles Lakers are currently leading the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals 3-1. Do you think the Heat has any chance for a comeback, or will the Lakers win it all?
Well, I think that, the Lakers are a really great team, but before they got to the NBA Finals, the Miami Heat were playing phenomenal basketball. And Tyler Hero, he was playing pretty well. Watch this. Be ready for this hot take. Tyler Hero is probably, in my opinion, he's the best three-point shooter since Steph Curry was drafted.
Yeah, he's no Tyler Gallo out there.
And it is not even close. It is not even close. Well, he certainly is no Tyler Gallo with 37 points that he's putting up in the playoffs against the Boston Celtics in Game 4
Tyler Gallo
of
might
the
put up
Eastern
3
Conference.
points.
Yeah, Tyler Gallo might make a 3, or he could just make a layup and shoot a free throw. Who knows? But since just so good three-point wise, he's a sharpshooter from behind the arc. He was 5 for 10, 50% in that game. I want to make a challenge to our producer, Nick Hedrick, to a 3-point contest that will air in the next couple of weeks on this show. Nick, I know you're watching this. I want to challenge you. Let's do a 3-point contest and see how it goes, and maybe we can try to be as decently close to Tyler Hero as we can. It's going to be hard to do, but we're going to give it an effort.
Now,
what do you think, guys?
I think Nick's going to win. Sorry.
Oh.
I've seen you play basketball.
Okay.
I've seen you play basketball. Nick's my pick.
Even though I won the MVP of the Kmart Cup basketball season.
Yes.
John, I got Austin on the 3-point challenge, but you got to feel bad for Tyler Hero so far in this NBA Finals, where he's been trying to carry this Heat team, but the Lakers are just way too much for the Miami Heat.
Yeah, I think they've given it a good shot, but I think LeBron and the Lakers are just way too much for the Heat right
I agree.
now.
I think the Lakers win in 6. That's my original pick. I'm sticking with it.
Moving on to the MLB, this MLB postseason is in full swing. What are your predictions on what teams will be the American and National League champs?
I'll start. For the American League, I'm going Houston Astros. There's been a lot of criticism with them with the cheating scandal that happened. But I think they're going to prove the doubters wrong, that they can play actual baseball in a fair manner, and I think they have a dominant lineup that can, play up against any other team in the American League and potentially win the World Series.
They don't have the 10th man in the lineup, though. The trash can this year.
They don't have the 10th man, and it'll be interesting to see how they do. Obviously, they've been doing well without it, but they're currently losing to Oakland right now, so it'll be interesting to see if
they're up 2-0.
They're up
2-0 in the series. They're losing right now.
We've seen teams blow leads before. It'll be interesting to see if this gives the A's some momentum heading into the.
Who's your prediction that's going to win it all? What do you think is going to be the matchup in the end of the postseason?
Honestly, I'm going with the Astros to win it all. But from the NL, I'm going with the Braves. I think they possess a really good, strong lineup. Max Fried has come in and been a dominant pitcher for them. I think this matchup will be Astros-Braves going into the World Series.
Well, I disagree with a lot of that. I think in the World Series, it's going to be an underdog. It's going to be the bottom of the payroll and the top of the payroll. I think you're going to see the LA Dodgers. It's going to be a pretty interesting weeks of sports that we're going to see from LA with the Lakers and the Dodgers. But I also think that the Dodgers are going to be playing Tampa Bay. I really like their starting pitching with Glasnow, Charlie Morton, and just everybody that they throw out. Blake Snell is phenomenal.
See, I agree with the Dodgers, but I'm saying Yankees. The Yankees went with an interesting strategy.
It's a homer pick, John.
Yes, it is a homer pick, but I think that the Yankees, they just have the bats. Aaron Judge hit
a moonshot home run.
Exactly. Now, I don't really think, and you see them doing against this Rays pitching, I don't really think there's anyone that can stop these Yankee bats right now.
I disagree with both you guys and the Dodgers. Dodgers go in every year to the postseason. They just find a way to choke. Their pitching suffers, and they never
They got to get over the hump. We saw the Tampa Bay Lightning get over the hump.
Playoff Kershaw changes everything.
Right, the Tampa Bay Lightning got over the hump in the Stanley Cup, and we also saw that I think the Lakers are going to get over the top and win it. I think that's what happens in just the world of sports and COVID right now, and I think that
2020 is weird enough.
It's weird enough. I think the Dodgers are going to win the first time since '88.
Now we're going to be doing something a little different. The guys will be picking any NFL team in history and tell everyone why their team would beat the other guys' teams.
So starting off, I know you're going to say it's a homer pick, but it's the 1990 Bills. They lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl, sure. But yes, because of field goal.
So you're picking a team that lost the Super Bowl as your
that
team
that
can beat
had 5
anybody.
Hall of
How do you
Famers,
expect them to
Jim
beat
Kelly,
anybody on this
Thurman
list?
Thomas, Andre Reed, Bruce Smith, and James Lawson should have had a 6th, and Steve Tasker, one of the best special teams gunners in all time.
All right, John, you offer that. Let me offer you the 1978 Steelers. You bring up your 5 Hall of Famers. Let me give you 10. How about I double that? With just the offense alone, with Terry Bradshaw, John Stallworth, Lynn Swann, Franco Harris, Mike Webster. the offense was great, and the defense was the best probably that we've seen in the 70s.
Good luck having that defense stop the Jim Kelly, Keith McKellar, K-Gun offense that was revolutionized by the Bills and Marv Levy in 1990. Joe Green, he'd be gasping for air by the first series.
That defense could stop a dump truck going down the Parkway. All right, that defense was phenomenal in the 70s, and that was the height of it. They were 14-2.
In the 70s, and you think that offense and defense haven't changed in 20 years?
They have.
They have, and I think that this Jim Kelly-led offense would throw all over the 70s Steelers.
They couldn't even win the Super Bowl. I don't think they could beat the best dynasty
you guys are
ever.
forgetting, a current team. They haven't had any Hall of Famers yet, but they will have a list coming. The 2016 New England Patriots, 14-2 in the regular season, come back against the Falcons in the Super Bowl. This team is my team that I think can beat both you guys.
Because Atlanta blew that 28-3
with Tom Brady and the mastermind Bill Belichick, this team can beat anyone with weapons like Edelman, Rob Gronkowski, and a solid defense.
They had no weapons. It was basically Brady and the defense leading the charge down the field.
Brady dunking and diming all over the place.
Well,
Can you name their running backs?
It's more of the scheme and what Bill Belichick brings to the table that will beat both of you guys.
Can you name me their running backs?
What's that?
Can you name me their running backs?
LeGarrette Blount, 18 touchdowns during the regular season. I think he'll smash your defense in the mouth, and they will beat your team.
Bill Belichick and Tom Brady would turn any team into a Super Bowl candidate. Those are the only
exactly,
two people
and that's
you
why
have
they'll
to worry
beat any
about on that team. You take out Brady, you're done.
That's why you're beating any team with that current team. That's why.
Steelers are better. 78 Steelers, come on. They're 10 Hall of Famers. That's never going to happen again. And you got Bill Nunn as a contributor, as a scout that's also going to be a Hall of Famer now, at least in my opinion, along with the Rooneys. You can't top that. You can't top that dynasty.
Coming up after the break, the guys will talk about their must-see games and give their final takes. Stay with us.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made her college years happen. Opening that education savings account when she was little. Spearheading a campus tour. And another, and another, and another, and another. Bam! Deciphering financial aid. She was like, what? But now she's like, you aced planning for college. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Jason, let's go see your room.
That's not right. How is it? Is it good?
Things could be stranger, but I don't know how. I'm going through changes now. Could spend a lifetime trying to figure it out. I'm going through changes, through all of the strangeness. I'm going through changes now.
Welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. Now the guys will be talking about what games they'll be watching. Nate?
This show we talked a lot about pro sports, but this weekend I'm going to college football, and there is a ton of top 25 matchups this weekend, but the one I want to focus on, number 1 Clemson versus number 7 Miami at 7:30 on ABC in Death Valley. This is going to be an exciting game. We could definitely see an upset, as I will note in a little bit, but this game is one to watch, and I think, could possess a lot of firepower.
See, you're going to the gridiron. I'm going to the links. I know you're saying golf, but the Shriners Hospitals for Children Open, TPC Summerlin in Las Vegas. It would be Buffalo against Tennessee in the NFL. Buffalo against Tennessee in the NFL, yes. But Tennessee, as you mentioned, 22 positive COVID tests between players and coaches. I don't think that's happening this week.
Right.
So two weeks before the 2020 Masters, starting tee time 9:45 tomorrow on Golf Channel, all 4 days. What sport can you say lasts 4 days? can't.
March Madness. March Madness.
Other than the March Madness, where you can see the same people every single day. Notable groups: Sergio Garcia, Jason Day, Hideki Matsuyama. Sergio won last week's Sanderson Farms Championship, and Bryson DeChambeau has 2 wins in his last 8 starts.
I'm going back to the NBA Finals. I've been talking about it a lot today, but I think you got to watch LeBron going for his 4th championship. And what's really impressive about it, it would be 3 teams that he would have won championships on: the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Miami Heat, and the Los Angeles Lakers. The Heat before Cleveland, I should say. And just as a game that you definitely should tune into, because being the NBA Finals and being LeBron and always chasing Jordan, it just adds another wrinkle to the chapter of the greatness that is LeBron. And I think it's just really important that, you watch that game, and I think LeBron's going to do it.
So like I mentioned before, there's some big implications in college football. And there has been utter chaos in the top 25 so far this season in college football. Last week, number 9 Texas fell to unranked TCU. Prior to that, number 3 Oklahoma fell to unranked Kansas State, as well as number 6 LSU lost to unranked Mississippi State. And to start the season, Louisiana took down number 23 Arizona State. This week, one of the best matchups of the season will take place as the number 1 Clemson Tigers take on the number 7 Miami Hurricanes. Both teams have high-powered offenses and top-tier defenses. The Hurricanes have led the FBS in turnovers ever since the establishment of the turnover chain in 2017. With this highly important ACC contest, the Hurricanes will storm into Death Valley this Saturday and take down the best team in college football, along with the top quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. This season has been unpredictable, and that's why the Hurricanes will come away victorious in this matchup.
Well, with the NBA and MLB playoffs wrapping up and the Stanley Cup playoffs just finishing, it further enforces my viewpoint that the NHL playoffs are the best in sports. Not only are they most chaotic, but the ultimate prize is inevitably the best. The Stanley Cup is the best trophy in the playoffs. No other trophy has the history or the spectacle of Lord Stanley of Preston's 34.5-pound trophy that's been handed out since 1893. Lombardi, Larry O'Brien, and the commissioner, they have nothing on the Stanley Cup. And that's the trophy, not even mentioning the games. The 2020 Stanley Cup playoffs saw 27 overtime games, including 6 games that went to 2 or more overtime, and 1 5-overtime showdown between the Tampa Bay Lightning and Columbus Blue Jackets. In comparison, the NBA Finals, so far, just 6 of them. Close games equals a lot of action, and a lot of action is why the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs are the best in sports.
As the Pittsburgh Penguins prepared for Day 2 of the NHL draft this morning, General Manager Jim Rutherford made a move that was expected by most of the fan base, with only the timetable for the transaction in question. The Penguins traded goaltender Matt Murray today to the Ottawa Senators for Jonathan Gruden and the 52nd overall pick, a second-rounder who became goalie Joel Blomqvist, a fitting selection to replenish the goaltending depth lost in the trade. Many fans have taken to Twitter to rejoice that Murray is gone and proclaiming that the team is better off with him as far away from PPG Paints Arena as Rutherford could put him. It's safe to say that all the accomplishments that Matt Murray piled up in his time with the Penguins has been lost in the abyss, floating as far away from the minds of Penguin fans as the images of simple playoff wins. Regardless if you find yourself being a Fleury over Murray guy or Jarry over Murray guy this past season, and no one can discredit the fact that Matt Murray led the Penguins to 2 Stanley Cups, technically as a rookie as well. It's time to appreciate the good that Murray brought to the team, stepping in for the Flower to guide the Penguins to 2 championships that would not have been won without him. He brought success to a franchise that couldn't find its way since walking off the ice at the Joe Louis Arena as champions in 2009. So for those fans out there that are partying on Twitter and ranting about how bad Murray was, I can't wait to hear what you have to say in April when the Penguins are scrambling for solutions to problems that still have no answers.
Well, I have something to say to you. I think that, yes, Murray should be appreciated, but I think last year, as we mentioned before, he was not up to snuff.
You're allowed to have a down year, John. Okay, you're not going to be 100%, a great player your entire career.
Yes, you're allowed to have down years, but when that down year cost you in the playoffs, sorry.
It was his offense that cut him down, not that. But that's it for us today. We want to thank you for watching. Nate Preisinger, John Hanna, and Alexis Davis. I am Austin Bechtold. We will see you back here in 2 weeks here on Sports Talk in the Burgh.